4 months ago, I started on YouTube, and in this video, I'm gonna share my progress with you. I'm gonna tell you about the things that is going well, some of my learnings, and things that is not going so well. If you're a person that is also in the process of thinking to start a YouTube channel, this video is for you. And this video, I'm just gonna be talking about my experiences, things I've learned, my advices to you if you're thinking to also start on YouTube. So before we get into the numbers, I just want to talk a bit about my motivation and also a little bit about my background of doing YouTube. So I've been an entrepreneur most of my life. I've had all sorts of online stores and sold different products throughout the years, and just in general done a lot of different things. But the last year or two, I've been in a process where I was like, I don't really know what should be my next move. I feel like I don't really have like this next idea or next concept. So I don't know what's really gonna be my next step. But I knew I loved talking about entrepreneurship, personal finance, travel hacks, and things like that where I could help other people. I think it's something that I've always liked to do. And just talk about business and entrepreneurship has always been something that excited me. And based on that, I was thinking maybe I could start doing some YouTube. And I think around 1 year ago, that's when I started making my first videos on TikTok. It was like maybe 5-10 videos where I just tried to test it out. And it was really difficult or weird for me because it was like just talking to myself was not something I was really familiar with. So it was like a bit of a slow steps, you know, like you feel, because you're also afraid people will judge you and like, you know, all those things that go through your head is like, is this really a good idea? What am I doing now? You know, I'm 34 years old and now I just start making videos on TikTok or YouTube, and like that whole process that I think everyone has when they're thinking to start a new project, and you ask yourself, you know, do I really believe in this? What are people gonna think? And all those things that go through your head. But that was the first step. That was to make a few videos on TikTok, and I saw I got a few views. Nothing impressive or anything like that, but it was like a bit of a learning. And then in the beginning of 2025, I was like, I think I'm gonna do it, but I don't know where to start really. I don't know what's gonna be my focus. I don't know what equipment to get. All these things that I think every YouTuber or potential YouTuber is thinking about and nervous about. And I think my process was that, like, you know, I decided, okay, I'm gonna do it. And then the first thing I did was to look here on YouTube, what equipment should I get? And this was a whole thing at first, and maybe also a bit of an excuse to drag it a little bit because I feel a little bit nervous before starting out. But, you know, it was like, okay, what kind of equipment should I get? Do I need light? Do I need a microphone? Do I need a tripod? And all these things. And after buying a few different things, I finally figured it out, or I thought I figured it out. Today, my setup is super basic. I just have a tripod here, and then I have a Rode mic right here, and that's pretty much it. I also have a light that I use if it's a little darker, but the good thing is that I sit outside, so I have like an okay light coming here, and I prefer just to have the natural light. I think that's fine. At some point, I would like to make the background a little more interesting, but like that was kind of my first steps in this process of like, okay, what equipment do I need and all that. I've added links in the description so you can see what equipment I use if you're curious to know what that is. And then I think around April or something like that, that's when I made my first videos. And I really didn't know what the heck I was doing. Of course, I watched a lot of videos and trying to decide what should be my focus, but I felt it was so difficult because you don't know before you try, really. And I think that's the biggest learning for me so far. And I think something that is not being said enough is that there will be so many channels out there saying you need to do this, or you need to do that, and you need to narrow it down and all that. And of course, these advices are true. But the most important advice is that you just need to try really, and then see what works and what doesn't work. What do you feel inspired to talk about? And I know this is really like a basic advice, but it is really just about starting out. Just try different things. That's also what I've been doing here the last couple of months, because I don't know really, and I still don't know really where my focus should be fully, because I have like different interests. I mean, I try to keep everything like more or less in the space of like money, more or less, and then it's like either it's a travel hack or it is business things, personal finance. Still a little too broad maybe, but you know, that's been the things I started out with. You know, so my first video was about credit history because that's something I learned after moving to the US. Then I've talked about moving to the US because this is something I used a lot of energy on, getting a visa to the US. Then also just more entrepreneur things. So I've been testing different things, and I think that's really my advice to you. That is really just no more excuses. Just start out, write down what you think, just talk about things that you like to talk about. And of course, you need to ask yourself, is it going to be more educational? Is it going to be more funny? Or what's going to be your kind of setup for these videos? For me, it was always that it had to be kind of educational. That's kind of my style, that I like to help people. And for that reason, it's like more educational content. You know, I started out, I made my first videos. and I didn't really get much traction, or 10 views, 20 views. And I think this is something that everyone experiences. You put in hours and hours of work and then you get 20 views here and 20 views there. It's a little tough, this process, because again, it is a lot of time you invest here that you could invest on something else. But for me, I made a decision from an early stage on. I'm gonna make 100 videos long format. That's the minimum before I potentially would quit. I will not quit before that. I need to make 100 long format videos, and of course in that process I plan to improve those videos, I plan to optimize and all those things, but I have to do a minimum of 100 long format videos. At an early stage, that's just what I told myself. I have to do this because I don't want to be one of those people that is just starting out and then I make 5 videos and then I give up. Then what is the point, you know? Then that is even worse, to just half-ass it. Then you're not gonna get anywhere. So I told myself I'm gonna make 100 videos and then we'll see where it takes us. Started trying to make videos maybe like once a week. Still I felt it was a little slow, but then I started making a lot of shorts because those are easier to make, and that actually helped grow the channel. And then I started to see I would get more subscribers and things would go a little faster. And then after I saw that working well, I started to prioritize more doing shorts. So maybe like, you know, 1 long format video per week, and then maybe I would do like 1 to 3 shorts a day. And that have actually been the strategy for a while now, and been working somewhat okay. Though now my strategy is to change a little bit to make more long format videos, because it have been taking a little too much of my time with the short format videos, because I made so many basically. Now at first I made some long format videos, then I tried to do a lot of short videos because I saw that worked well, got more views and subscribers. And then now I can see, okay, maybe I need to improve these. I need to make them higher quality, more exciting. Maybe also I need to talk about some other subjects, or try to make other types of long format videos. Also like this video, like I kind of do it without a script. This one I just kind of freestyle a bit, where I just talk more from the heart. Maybe that feels more authentic, I don't know. But again, it's about testing all the time. I think the next thing I learned is that it takes really a lot of time. It takes so much time to edit videos. I really got a lot faster at it, but still it takes a lot of time. I edited the video yesterday, and now again I try to make them fast. I don't want to use too much time on editing. Maybe it was like 5, 6, 7 hours I used editing, and this is like a 15-minute video. If I want to do let's say 3, 4 long format videos in the future per week, then you see that is going to be 4 days of work maybe, or something like that. So really this takes so much time, and something you need to be aware of, that you need to really allocate a lot of time for this if you're actually going to be full-time with this and make kind of a business out of this. The next thing I want to talk about is how to make money on YouTube when you're a small YouTuber. So as I said before, I tried to make a lot of research, but in the end I think it's about testing a lot and all, and that is very true. I think the only thing here to keep in mind is that you need to think about, okay, the content you make, what companies would potentially work with you and support you in this process. So the reason why I talk about visas is because I know a lot about visas to the US, or in general visas. I think it's interesting. I think it's exciting when people want to move to new countries. And I think it's something I really support and something I like to talk about. And for that reason, I talked with Deal, the company I use for my visa. And then we made like a small partnership with this. And the same goes with credit cards. I like talking about credit cards and how to optimize to get business class flights. But at the same time, I also think, okay, how can I make some money from this? And I think this is also what you need to ask yourself. So if you talk about sports equipment, or there's some app with sports and activity, is there some way you can work together with some company? So this is something you really need to think about already from day one. And to give you one example here is that, you know, if you just make funny videos on YouTube and you can maybe get 1 million views, which is amazing and all, then there's one catch to this, and the catch is YouTube is not going to pay you much for your views, because again, people that goes on YouTube just to watch a funny video is not very likely to buy something, because they're not looking for an advisor to learn, they're just looking to laugh basically. And the same happens if you want to work with a company, then it's unlikely they think you're super interesting or like a perfect fit. But if you just make videos about someone falling or a prank or whatever, then how are you gonna align that with some company that want to sell a product? It is kind of unlikely, or it's more difficult. So here it's really important to ask yourself, okay, can you bring in a relevant audience and that you like to talk about, that you see yourself in, but that also matches maybe a company over here? This is so crucial, and this is where really the magic happens and where you can make the real money. I mean, again, I'm a very small YouTuber, but this is kind of my strategy, and this is also what you see the big YouTubers that is really successful. This is also the recipe to success for them. And now it's been like, 4 months or something like that doing this channel, and I've tried to really put out a lot of content. I see some things are failing big time, and of course it is difficult for the motivation, and you ask yourself, what are you doing wrong? But again, as I said before, it's just about testing, be persistent, put in a goal, and of course in that process all the time try to improve. But I think that's also what's important for you if you're in your early stage of your process of your channel. Then it's really just you need to stick to it and keep fighting, no matter if it's a good day or a bad day. That's really where you make the difference. It's the same with the gym. It's easy to go to the gym when it's the good days, but also going to the gym on the bad days is where you make the magic happen. And this should also be your mindset with YouTube. When you see you lost some subscribers or things are difficult, well, you still need to fight. You still need to put out another video. You still need to believe in yourself. And that is like the way to success. To give you one example, the last 7-8 days or something like that, I lost a few subscribers. I actually had a goal to reach 600 subscribers before the 1st of October. It didn't go like that. It just like kind of got stuck at 573 or something like that, and then went up a little bit and then went down a little bit. And of course, this is like super frustrating, but this is the process. And again, you just need to stick to it and you need to keep fighting. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about how much money I made so far, because I think this is something that a lot of people are curious about. And I would say overall, don't expect too much. I made around $2,000 now in these 4 months. So this is almost nothing, and you shouldn't really rely too much on YouTube in the beginning. I think the best thing you can do is to say, okay, you save up some money, or you have a part-time job, or you have a full-time job, and then you just don't do so many other things than making YouTube videos, and then just give it some time. I think I hope or think a realistic timeline is maybe from 6 to 8 months I start to see making, you know, some real money. Let's say maybe 5,000 a month or something like that. I hope that will be the case for me. I mean, I'll try to do everything I can to get there. And I think it's going to be mostly from partnerships, different companies, you know, that I can work with, and then maybe a little bit from YouTube, but I really don't expect much from YouTube, because with YouTube, you need to have a lot of views before you actually make some real money from that. So it's been around $2,000 for me so far. Of course, I hope there will be more, but it's also okay. I mean, this is a process. I'm just starting out. I don't have too many views. So I think my takeaway with this is that if you're a person thinking to start on YouTube, just start today. You don't need a mic. You don't need a special light. You don't need all sorts of crazy things. Start out, make some videos, see how you feel about it. And then the first thing you can do after is to, buy a basic mic. The mic I have is like maybe $100 or something like that. The tripod is $10 or something like that. And then you have your setup. Then learn to use CapCut. That's the software I use to edit videos. And it takes some time in the beginning, but there's some good tutorials on YouTube that's going to show you how to use it. So then do that and learn how to edit videos, and then just start uploading videos. Of course, use also ChatGPT a lot, you know, for ideation, but also for titles, descriptions, tags. And I think then just get to work, make a lot of videos. Of course, try to niche it down as much as you can. But of course, still, you know, accept the process that you are going to test different things before you really know what's going to be your focus and niche 100%. I think that's a good balance in that. And then if you want to make money from an early stage on, try to look at some of the different partner networks that is out there for affiliate. You can use PartnerStack, that is more for tech companies. You can use Impact, that is both tech but also consumer products. You know, if you want to team up with whatever consumer product, then maybe you can find them on Impact. Then there's also Awin. You can also use Amazon Associates if you want to recommend products that is on Amazon. And there's also a lot of other companies, but that can be a way to find different companies to work with. You can also contact some of these companies and say, hey, I'm gonna make a video about this and that. Are you interested in, you know, teaming up on this and help me and things like that. So that's been pretty much my process. So I made $2,000 and I'm planning to make a lot more videos. Hopefully soon have 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully have some more views on my videos. But I think this is just a process. And again, this is just me rambling a bit in this video. So this was just to share my process with you, just from my heart or whatever, and with not so much editing and scripting. So I hope you find it useful. Feel free to drop a comment and a like, and hopefully also subscribe. That would be a big help so we can support each other on growing our YouTube channels. That would be amazing. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you found some of it useful, and I hope you didn't think I was rambling too much. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again in one of my next videos.